Welcome back to another episode of Capes and Tights. This is Justin Soderberg. I'm your host tonight. Adam is off tonight, taking a little break, but we've got Will and Jay from the Bangor Comic and Toy Con joining us to talk the Bangor Comic and Toy Con. Weird, huh? That's weird how you guys would come on and talk about Bangor. You know, it's so funny. It's funny though, because I mean, Will, we see each other at the comic book shop, you know, Galactic Comics all the time. Jay, you're a tattoo artist. So there are other things we could talk about other than con. But I felt like with you guys both being on at the same time, we should probably talk about con, right? I mean.
Well, and it's finally right around the corner.
It is.
Finally.
For now,
finally happening.
When this episode comes out, it'll be less than a month away, which is pretty cool. So I'm excited for that, and we've been talking about it forever, and you know, it's just fun to get there, to finally be there. It's within this, and it scared me, honestly. We talked earlier about something we're working on separately from this recording and from con itself, and I was like, oh crap, that's like right around the corner.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like PTSD for Will and I, though, because like we definitely don't want to jinx it. But you think about it, it was summer of 2019 that Will and I first started talking contracts for the next convention for April 2020. We started locking in guests, and like we announced at a wrestling show almost 2 years ago now that McFoley was coming. And like every single time we got close, I mean, you think like April 2020 that was supposed to happen. It was what, Will, like 3 weeks before that it got shut down?
Yeah, I think we were basically like a month out because we were like, because at the time, so there was the whole, they were talking about going into lockdown or doing this, but we were outside of that at the time. We're like, hey, we just escaped that, and like we're going to get through it. We're going to be fine. And then we found out through a Twitter post from one of our staff that the Cross had shut down. So
yeah, because they said what they say. They said it was like 30 days. The Maine state was shutting down, but our show was in like 23 days or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's been a long time coming. We're very excited. As of right now, nobody has canceled. Everybody, or you know, we got people that are everybody's still locked in. We've got tomorrow officially is 1 month until the event. Mm-hmm. You know, just counting down the days. Everything is on track. Feeling really good about it. So let's go, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And you guys are at a different location this year. Obviously, you mentioned the Cross Insurance Center was shut down. We're having the cons at the Bangor Mall and on Stillwater Ave in Bangor, which is crazy to think about. You know, you and I, all three of us, we used to walk through there, go to Hot Topic, hang out, you know, just literally get dropped off at the mall, just hang out for hours and hours. Now someone's actually probably going to get dropped off by their parents at the mall to hang out for a few hours over the weekend. It would be like some of these kids that may be young enough to not realize what the hell that is to actually walk around the mall and do something at the mall.
Or God forbid, remember, you used to like sit down on the floor and security would come up and kick you out. And now it's like, wait a minute, like we're bringing people in to hang out at the mall for 3 days.
Now people go, why do I have to go in there? Oh, yeah. Now there's a Comic-Con there. We'll go there for the Comic-Con. Yeah. And hopefully it brings people back in, reminisces a little bit about like what the old days of doing stuff at the mall. And maybe we can further the visiting the mall aspect of it and bring back the mall, the vibrancy of the mall would be kind of cool on that aspect of it. Yeah, I mean, because you guys are at the mall, obviously you're at a bunch of different stores. Will, Jay, you guys have been there hanging out, doing some demolition, some cleanup and stuff like that. So it's not ready to go like a Cross Center would be. You actually had to do some work for this, right?
Yeah. But it's worth it though, because one of the biggest things that's nice about this time is we're so used to where you basically rent out a spot and then you plan, and then you get like one day, like the first day, usually we start late, you set everything up, you go, you tear down, you're done. But like here, the biggest thing that's really nice is our volunteer meetings and everything. Actually, we get to actually do stuff. We get to actually have a plan, say, tonight we're working on this, we're going to try to accomplish this. And then we do it. And then the next time we're like, all right, tonight we're working on this. Where before you're just kind of like, okay, everybody, remember that we're trying to do this, right? Remember we're doing this on the day. But I'm hoping that with I really feel confident, but I feel like with the amount of work that we've already gotten done and what we have planned to do, that, you know, that week before the convention is going to be butter for us as far as being set up. And I'm really looking forward to that. The freedom of this is just so different.
Well, like when you were at the Cross Center, how long before the actual event were you allowed to be in there?
Day of.
The day of.
See, that's the thing. So if you think about it, it's almost like, you know, when you have a wedding, your wedding rehearsal is usually at the church or the place you're getting married the night before. So you actually have to get in there and see what it's actually going to be like and walk down. When we got married last summer, we did it on my lawn at my house because we weren't allowed to be in the spot until the day of the wedding. And so like, it was different. You had to like guess, be like, oh, this is where the rock was. You had to walk around the rock to get there. And people are like, what are you talking about? Like, you'll see when you get there. At least now, you know, months in advance, some of the people that will be working at the con or volunteering at the con, you actually can be like, no, it's going to be like right here. We're standing in the spot where this is going to be at, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think that's the huge thing too is, you know, with the Cross, we might've been lucky to go in Thursday if they didn't have something going on. But even then, usually they were still setting up. So the first time we saw anything was typically Friday morning when we would go in, and then it would still be like, okay, fingers crossed. The fire inspector has to come in and do their walk and make sure everything's green lighted from them, and then we're good to go. Or we have to have them rush and move all this stuff around while they wait and hope that what we do now clears it. Whereas, the mall, I mean, we've done a ton of demolition. We've got an amazing team that's just killing it over there with the amount of work that they've done. But it's literally having like a 2-month rehearsal. Like, you know, we went in with, hey, this is the idea of how we're going to do this. And then, you know, me and Jay sitting there working on it or doing measurements, like, that's not going to work. So let's do this. And, you know, having those meetings with staff, being like, this is what this room is, this is where this is. Like, they have plenty of time, so they're confident and comfortable when the time comes that they know, hey, you know, this is where this is, or, oh, you go here to do this. And I mean, basically we'll have everything ready to go, honestly, within the next week or two, pretty much, short of having the tables and pipe and drape. So from there, it's just, all right, let's rehearse it. Like, let's have a few people act as this. Let's look at where security areas are weaknesses or where we need to watch out for people. Like, let's be honest, that they try to sneak in, take advantage of it. So just having that, you know, being comfortable with that and our staff being comfortable and confident will be a huge piece for us to just making a better event for all.
Yep. What are some of the differences that you're going to get? Like, what's different about this con having to be at the mall versus like last year or last time we went at the Cross Center? Like, what's going to be different? Obviously, it's a different location, a different setup, but is there some like glaring obvious differences between the two places?
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious being prior, we were in the ballroom at the Cross. Everything is all right in one room there. Short of, I mean, we've got, you know, the meeting rooms, we'd have panels and photo ops and whatnot. This is going to be a little bit more spread out. We've got 8 storefronts. So, you know, we'll have a majority of our vendors through 3 rooms. We'll have the artist alley, as everyone's, you know, used to. The celebrity guests will be in their own separate room, photo ops in a different room. So it's going to be more maneuvering of things, but the good thing is it's all right in the same wing, short of tabletop gaming or panels. But, you know, one of the big things is every year we've done this, we've had to use the Cross as food. And let's be honest, it's not great food.
No, it's stadium food. I mean, come on.
It's and, you know, and it's, no matter what we do, you know, we always get complaints from people every year about the price of the food, how bad the food is. So one of the cool things been able to do now is we can have food trucks. So we're going to have a number of food trucks there. Hopefully G-Force will be open, so they'll have their cafe or their kitchen available as well. You know, we're having a beer garden this year. Yeah. So that's something we haven't been able to really do prior. It was, you know, whatever they wheeled around on a cart. So being able to work more locally with everybody, I think, is a huge piece. Like having local food trucks. The guests and our staff are going to be catered to by season. They're going to provide, you know, obviously they can go buy stuff from the food truck if they want, but we're working with a local restaurant to provide food for the guests and our staff. So that's, you know, you know, I mean, you're in the beer business, your local business, like everywhere, these local businesses have suffered in the past year and a half. So anything we can try to do to help each other out, like that's what it is. It's not a me and Jay profit from this. It's what can we do for the community?
Because I heard Comic Cons are super profitable. Small Comic Cons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing is, we're working with Jay. You'll have to John's Haunted House. What is it called again?
Maniac Manor.
Maniac Manor. Thank you. We'll be working with John. He's going to open. Jay coordinated with John to open a couple weeks earlier than prior.
1 week early. Yeah.
1 week early. So he'll be open during selected con hours. Friday night, a few guests or a few attendees are going to get to go do the haunted house with some of our guests. And then, throughout the weekend, there'll be a sneak preview of what the haunt will be. So again, tying with a local business, we're going to be working with Spirit Halloween. And, we kind of talked prior, but, making the mall like a neighborhood, it's a community. All the business in there are struggling. The mall has not been busy by any means. So being able to provide something for them and being able to work together and network to see how we can help each other out throughout the weekend and provide cool incentives for all of our attendees is an awesome piece.
That's awesome. One of the things I think about when you guys talk about the mall, it's funny, when I've been to many different variations of small, large cons. They all look the same. Like they're all the same. Like, you walk, the booths are all in the middle and there's the same exact layout. And then, and same thing with Bangor Comic and Toy Con in 2019. It looked the same as a normal con, which is nothing against that. But one of the things I can think of is that some of these guests you have coming in, whether they be artists from all over the country, the state, or the wherever, and some of these celebrity guests that are coming in are going to come in here. They're going to remember this con. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. It's just when they walk in there and like, we did a con that was badass and it was at a mall. Like, they don't, I guarantee you there's not very many, if any, like this Comic-Con is going to happen on October 1st and 3rd.
You can't help but compare it to that we not only are doing it at a mall, but we've got 3 people from Mall Rats that are going to be there. So that makes it even better.
And the cool thing is that they're wrapping up this week on Clerks 3 recording too, which is even freaking awesome.
Today I believe was their last day wrapping up and all that. And yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about, like Will and I were talking about that the other day, how we keep lucking out on, people that you book and you're kind of like, they're relevant, they're known for this. And then all of a sudden you find out that they're randomly doing a new movie that's going to be coming out or something. And that's happened with the Clerks guys. That's happened. Bill Moseley has a new movie that's coming out with Nicolas Cage. We've got some people already locked in for next year that have new movies coming out like now. We've got Kane Hodder, who we announced recently. He's got a new Friday the 13th movie coming out soon. So yeah, it's really cool that we're able to stay relevant with them and everything. And, everybody keeps asking, they're like so confused. And I've been getting a lot of joy out of it when they're like, the mall though, it sounds like a good idea, but how? How are you doing it at a mall? And there's so many people that are concerned, like so concerned with how Will and I are going to maintain this. Like, there's so many people.
Here's 2 ways to help.
What?
Volunteer. Right? If you volunteer, you'll be able to help make sure it happens. And if you want to see how it happens, buy a ticket and go. Yeah. That's how you're going to see how it happens.
But like, the amount of people that are just like, how are you going to keep people from that aren't supposed to be there being there? How are you going to stop that? And we're just like, chill out. It's not, like, some of these times I feel like it's like, do you not think that we haven't thought about that?
Yes, exactly.
Right. I think that was like my biggest issue when we first met with the mall was like, so how do we block this off? How do we do this? You can't. Okay, I don't know how this is going to work. And then we take the time and we walk it and we meet with our staff and we meet with our Donnie and Al, who are the heads of our security. And we're like, all right, walk through it. Show us what you think. Give us ideas. And same with our staff. Like, this is what we're thinking of. How can we see it working? And the big thing that people have to realize is, again, it's not just, we're flown out. It's not like, how the flea market was. Everything's just out in the hallway. yes, we'll have certain things in the hallway, but everything else is going to be in a room. They have gates, they've got doors, so they can easily be staffed by somebody checking, just like any other outdoor or concert or any event where, oh, I need to see your wristband, I need to see your badge. Like, these are all things that are going to be in place. But back to your point on, the whole Clerks thing, I definitely breathed a sigh of relief finding out today that, this was kind of their last day of filming, because the guys have had to cancel a few of their past conventions. And I was sitting here like, anybody can cancel. We know it happens. But for the love of God, do not let it be these three guys. It's like Brian and Jeff just had to cancel a West Coast appearance.
They did?
2 weekends ago, Jay had to cancel. He was supposed to be at Astronomicon, and he had to cancel because they were filming. So I was like, for the love of God, do not let us lose these three. Yeah. Because that would
suck. I was thinking about the exact same thing, because I listened to Kevin Smith's podcast. He has Fat Man Beyond, and he was doing his recording. He does it live now. He used to do it at the Cantina in California, but he has now Smodcastle in New Jersey, which is actually in the same exact building as the Quickie Mart. It's at the end, like one's on one side, and the other side is now Kevin Smith's new podcast studio.
Nice.
And live podcasting place. It's actually in the same building, which is freaking awesome. Just to think how full circle that is. But they do live shows there with like 20 or 30 people in there and so on. And the last live show they did before the starting of the filming for Clerks 3, they had everybody wearing masks because there's a COVID-19 doctor on staff basically given to them by the studio, basically saying that if anybody on staff, anybody, cameramen, actors, anybody gets COVID-19, they're shut down for 2 weeks. They're just shut down. They cannot record for 2 weeks until it's figured out. And Kevin Smith's like, so basically they had everybody in the studio wearing masks because they're like, we can't risk this. Kevin's like, I got them to convince them to actually make Clerks 3 and give me $10 million or whatever it is to make this movie. I don't have 2 weeks to actually do this. And all I could think of was like, just a 2 week delay could have screwed up, one person on the freaking boom mic holder getting COVID could have actually screwed up them coming to Bangor Comic and Toy Con.
Yeah.
Would have pissed me off. Like, honestly.
Tell me about it.
It's insane. But the funny thing is that if this would have happened, like, so we did say this was April 2020 was this con, right? I mean, like, let's be honest, like we've been pushed back this far. All this stuff wouldn't have been out yet. And I'm even thinking to the point where like, some of it obviously was delayed due to the pandemic. So it went hand in hand. But like, I'm thinking even like Ben Bishop and the Last Ronin, like Last Ronin actually didn't come out until October of 2020 in the first issue. So now he's got, by the time Comic-Con comes up, there'll be 4 issues of the comic book out. So actually people are actually going to be able to bring their comic books to the con and get them signed, which they would not have been able to do back in April of 2020. So some of this stuff is like, it's just like, it sucks. The pandemic is very bad, obviously, everything. But
on the other side of that, there were other things that would have happened that would have been insane. Like, I'm just going to throw it out there. We were slotted to have Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman's first reunion back together. Like, we had spoken, we had Kevin booked, Peter was down, we had Ben, we were going to do like a movie
Jim and Steve party. We would have had the reunion of all the 4 original TMNT artists.
Yeah. And like, so that is, I don't know when that's ever going to happen, if it does, but now that's kind of over. And then Jeff from Clerks, we were going to be like his second convention ever. So that would have been huge. Huh?
And it was his birthday that weekend.
I think it was his wife's birthday that weekend.
Was it? It was one of their 2 birthdays.
Yeah, because they said something because they asked about.
Oh yeah, because we were gonna fly. He was gonna fly her out.
His wife out with him because it was her birthday weekend. But yeah, we had that, and then on top of that, with the reschedule, we were gonna bring in some Tiger King people, and then we had the producers from Tiger King emailing asking if we were willing to bring in a few more people. Then they would come and film for the second season of Tiger King at our convention. So, and then that's just gone.
Well, here's the question now. Does anybody actually care about Tiger King anymore?
True.
So
when we announced it, it was huge.
That would have been huge.
Like, blah, 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 blah.
The only time I've seen it in the news recently was what's her face? Carol Baskin sold the land She sold the land that his animal kingdom thing was on. And in the stipulations forever, you're not allowed to open a zoo or open any sort of attraction that has the words Tiger King in it or anything that's associated with the TV show. The person who bought the land had to basically say they couldn't use it to exploit that stuff.
Say that's going on or something like that.
Exactly. So, but yeah,
I will say though. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just things are bad and things are good, obviously. But in the end, there is some big positives that come out of this. And Kevin obviously has talked about coming into FutureCon and things like that. So it's like we're gonna be able to get him at some point. But
yeah, I think on the other part too, like kind of lucking out. Like there's a lot of great things that were going to happen then. But I mean, like we just said, you mentioned we mentioned Clerks 3, mentioned Ben with The Last Ronin. But then we also got to add in Mickey. We added Mickey James. We added guys from My Hero, which is the biggest anime out there. My Hero's newest season just came out. You can't walk anywhere with right now without seeing somebody running into somebody wearing something My Hero. Added Mickey James to go along with Mick, and Mickey just re-debuted like a month or so ago on like a TNA or something like that pay-per-view event. So then she's popping up again, adding Atreyu. We're doing the movie premiere with him. And then Dana Snyder, who is, he still had Paradise PD going, but now you've got that SpongeBob SquarePants spinoff, the Patrick Star Show. And not only is he one of the producers for it, but he's the voice of Patrick's grandfather in the show. So then that's just a whole nother demographic that you're getting involved and getting excited for the event. I told Jay yesterday, we were, me and our friend Ryan were doing some work outside of Deb's, and this family came up and they were looking at the posters we've got up and started asking questions. And this girl, she's like, "Oh, I know that person. I know him from somewhere." And I was like, it's a voice, like in my mind, it's like, this is a voice actor. She doesn't know who this person is, but I'm like, oh yeah, like what do you know them from? She's like, I don't know, I just know the face. I go, well, he's a voice actor. He's actually Todoroki and My Hero Academia. And like she like fell backwards. Her dad had to catch her. Like she was like freaking out in excitement. And her dad, and then like dad had already bought tickets. He's like, man, I haven't been to a convention since, I don't know, probably been like 10, 12 years since I've been to a convention. He goes, not that our ticket prices are expensive, but anyways, he was like, just seeing my daughter's reaction about that has made the ticket price all worth it for me. And so like, awesome. That was super cool. And then it's like,
it is awesome.
Like, I couldn't drop it. I was like, oh, by the way, this guy is twice in My Hero. And this guy, that's Deku. And then she like fell back. Dad is like, you got to stop doing this.
Well, so, I had a moment like those reactions. Like I have my wife's brother's daughters, and like it felt really cool being that cool uncle there because my niece Ariana was walking by with a T-shirt on that was My Hero, and I looked down. I was like, oh, geez. I was like, you're wearing a My Hero T-shirt. I was like, do you know that I have voice actors from that show coming to our convention in October? And she's like 10, and she goes, well, who is it? And I was like, we got like I started with Justin, and she's like, oh, that's my favorite one. And I was like, and immediately her grandmother's right there next to me. She's like, how much is that?
That's funny because it's funny. I read the announcement, saw everything out there. I have no idea who any of these people are. Like it's the demographic. It's a different thing. I just don't get into anime at all. It's nothing against it.
With everybody coming, like Will and I are running it, but we're not anime guys. We're doing it because we know that it's popular. We want to bring some people that don't normally get that anime fix. We want to bring you your anime fix, but don't ask me anything about it because I don't know. I'm sorry.
And it must be some gratification knowing that you said these are two stories you guys just mentioned about the people coming. No, you didn't run into people and go, "Oh my God, Jason Mewes is coming!" Like they were excited about the anime people, which people are excited about Jason Mewes coming too. But I'm just saying, like,
of course.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely been cool because I've, prior to this last year and a half, I never got into anime, and I can't really say that I'm into anime. Like I watched the Demon Slayer movie, and I do love My Hero. Tried a few other animes, but haven't really fell down that rabbit hole. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where we've always tried with a convention to be diverse and try to provide something for everybody. I mean, not everyone's into, the comic piece, or not everyone's into horror, or Walking Dead, or Star Trek, or this or that, or
wrestling. I'm not into wrestling. I'm excited to meet Mick Foley. Like, let's be honest. There are some names that transcend what they've been known for. Like, there's some names that you don't, even if you don't know the sport or the entertainment thing, that you're still ready and you know that name. Mick Foley is one of those names that just,
sure.
Some people go, oh, I know Mick Foley. Well, what do you know him from? And they're like, I don't know. I just know the name. There are people that are like that transcend the thing they're known from.
Yeah, I think it's with the anime thing, it was one of those where even when Chris was running it, where I was like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if you guys had more anime. And even last year we had Josh Peters, or last convention, I guess I have to say at this point, we had Josh Petersdorf, who is he was Ton and Agarasako, probably just butchered that, and he was Roadhog in Overwatch. And it's kind of anime, but still not really the route people were looking for. And we're like, we always looked at it like, well, there's already 2 conventions in Portland that are geared more towards the cosplay and anime piece. So it's it's really not our place. Like, we'll let them do that, and we'll provide the other piece. But it's like year after year, it's always, you guys got to get anime guests. You got to do this. You got to do this. Like, oh, this was awesome. But if you would have had somebody from anime, and it just kind of just worked out that one of the agents we're working with has a massive anime roster, and almost everybody from My Hero or Attack on Titan or One Piece, a lot of those popular animes that are out there. And it was funny because Jay had mentioned he knows nothing about anime, but he was just like, yeah, I don't care, man. Like, as long as like it hits like My Hero or Attack on Titan or One Piece or Dragon Ball. Yeah. He was like, as long as like it's those, you like, because I don't watch anime, but I know of those. So as long as they hit those, I know it's good. And I was like, well, all 3 of those guys hit at least 3 out of 4. And he's like, good enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like one of them's been in all of those.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, burp there. Ooh, that was a weird one. A burp. But so, and the funny thing, so I've been watching Comic Book Men again. It's weird. It's like, I don't know if anybody else out there knows what Comic Book Men is. I can explain a little bit about it, but it's basically Pawn Stars for comic book nerds and pop culture.
Yeah, I used to watch it a lot.
I love that show. And so I have it all on my computer, and I was just watching them. And at the beginning, Taylor kind of made fun of me. She's like, haven't you seen this show like twice? I'm like, yes. And it's like, I don't understand how it's a show I can rewatch over and over again. But I just sucked into it. And now I'm like 5 seasons out of 7 seasons in, and I'm just watching it. And there's small things that have been coming up, which are kind of funny. Obviously, Jason Mewes makes an appearance quite often on the show. Brian O'Halloran came on the show at one point, was a guest on the show, and then they also did their little podcast thing they do they're in between commercials and things. And but there was a guy who came in with a Mexican knockoff of toys from the Neverending Story. They never made actual toys or figurines in the United States of the Neverending Story. And there was and then there was a Treyu figurine. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so weird how like this is connecting in a way that I never thought I'd ever connect. And I'm just like, that dude is going to be at the Comic-Con in Bangor, that little character. And it was just like, I was like, and I don't remember if they bought it or not, but I was like, they should have bought it. They should have bought it. If they don't want to buy it, sell it to me. I want it. But it was just kind of funny how small the world was and how I'm watching this show. And it's like the guys from Clerks were on there. And obviously, Brian O'Halloran and Jason Mewes are on there. Jeff Anderson didn't show up, but like, it's just funny to watch that and know that like we're now about a month away from actually seeing Jason Mewes and Brian O'Halloran in Bangor, Maine, and then Noah Hathaway as well. So it's insane. It's absolutely insane to see that. It's cool. I mean, we grew up in Bangor area. It's cool to see some of these people in Maine.
Yeah, and like that's why Will and I were talking, and we're gonna have to make an announcement or something because we're looking for an official hashtag for this convention. Because what I really want to see is I love when people post about their experiences at the convention, but I also, one of my favorite things is Bangor is a very unique place. It has its ups, it has its downs, like any other place, but there's something different about Bangor. And one of the things that I love is obviously being born and raised here is I love that we get to bring those experiences here and know that like my buddy Taylor, he, I've known him growing up through high school and everything. And then next thing I know, I'm going into seasons and he's chugging a beer in Eric Stolansky's face and totally separate, like they were just having a moment where he talked about chugging a beer. And next thing you know, you got Eric taking a video of him chugging a beer in his face. And I appreciate that. So I want to see that. I want to see people hashtagging our event, not just for our event, but so that I can selfishly see people enjoying all of these guests that we're bringing to Bangor. If they're out shopping or they're just running into somebody, going to grab a beer or something, like I want to see that because that makes me really happy.
And I'm sure these guests are way more apt to go out and do things in the community and in the public in a place like Bangor, a small city compared to a lot of these other places that they may end up. I mean, Boston Comic Con, you don't have any of those guests just hitting the town. Right. They get mobbed at places
it's too
like
much.
that. Like,
it's too much.
I mean, there's a good chance that Jason Mewes goes and sits down and has a burger at Orno Brewing Company, and half the people there aren't even gonna know who he is. Let's be honest. Like, it's not. People who know who he is know who he is, but there's just arbitrary people are gonna be like, who? What movie? I mean, Clerks is how long ago?
With the fact that we're not used to it, you have people second guessing it.
Yes,
they're being like, that guy looks like Jason Mewes over there, but there's no fucking way that's Jason.
There's no way he's in Bangor.
So,
the whole Tony Hawk thing, the whole Tony Hawk thing, Tony Hawk, like people be like, you look like Tony Hawk.
You look like a young Tony Hawk.
You look like Jason Mewes from the Clerks.
That's like when, I took the last night, Sunday, the last night of our convention in 2019. My sister, Erin Blackmer, and I took Cooper and his wife, Aubin, and Sid to Patty's to have dinner. And we're all just sitting in Patty Murphy's, and either people knew, but they didn't do anything respectively, or they had no idea that they're just in there having dinner. And we got Sid Haig and Cooper Andrews over there just having dinner too.
I'd say two of the nicest people too. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, two of the nicest people.
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing with Bangor is like, we have Stephen King, and he is very public. He is, he buys his own groceries, he pumps his own gas, like he goes to concerts just like we do. Like, he's a human being. He goes to see the movies, and people get that, and they're like, hey, we give him his space. So I think that's one of the pluses of here. I mean, yes, Bangor is obviously a much smaller city, but I mean, we have guests that we fly in early, and we take them to Bar Harbor for a day, and we go adventuring, and see Thunder Hole, and Sand Beach, and those things that they wouldn't get to see any other time. And it's that cool experience for some of our staff who get to join us, or one of our buddies, Nick Renfro, huge into vinyl records. He would take he took we had a couple of the guests from Twin Peaks last year, and he took them downtown shopping, and they're just walking through downtown Bangor and hitting flea markets and shops downtown and just enjoying it. And we do a private dinner for all the guests Friday, but then we do an after party where they all just still come and hang out with their fans, or we're like, oh, let's go to this restaurant tonight, or what
even Colin Cantwell, the guy that's known for creating the design for the Death Star and the Millennium Falcon and the X-Wing and Y-Wing and Sandcrawler and, all these things. They asked me if they had some time. They were like, hey, there's a coffee shop that we saw downtown. Will you drive us down there? So we loaded them up in the van, drove them downtown, and they went to that coffee shop next to the Charles Inn and dropped them off. And I was like, I'll see you guys later, and they just had the time of their lives being able to just sit down at that coffee shop and kind of relax,
And I guess that's the benefit too. We talked in the past when you've been on as guest and when I've been on your guys' show too about small cons versus big cons, and like your local con, your regional cons, like this one is sometimes, I'm not going to say better, because obviously when you go to Boston Comic Con, you're meeting some of the elite of the elite in the pop culture world. But the thing is here, there's no artist, guest, celebrity, anybody that's coming to Bangor Comic Con that's too big. You know what I mean? Like the way that you guys could afford to get the guests in, a lot of those guests understand who they are and understand where they are, and they understand that they got where they are because of the people that are coming to Comic-Con. Like, you know, Jason Mewes would be nobody without Clerks. Like, let's be honest. Like, Clerks, you know, Kevin Smith and Clerks would have made him who he is today. I mean, we might not even have Jason Mewes. We love Jason Mewes, but without Kevin and this and the success and he may not have ever kicked drugs and alcohol. Maybe he would have been an addict the rest of his life and so on. So there is this aspect of there's nobody too big. I mean, you had some people that are on, like when Cooper Andrews was in too, he was like he was on TV, like
he had a movie
show on AMC. Like he had a movie in the theaters.
His movie Shazam.
Yeah.
And he was just hanging out.
With him.
I mean, it's Fatone, Joey Fatone. You guys had Joey Fatone, and it was like the dude toured the world. Like toured the world.
Well, dude,
sold out stadiums night after night.
Yeah, he left our convention early so that he could go do a small reunion of NSYNC with Ariana Grande at Coachella, like the night after, you know.
And then the whole time, like, didn't say a word. He was just like, "Oh yeah, he's got to leave at." You know, he's got to leave at this time to, you know, for filming is what it was, because he was also doing his game show. So she's like, oh, he's got to get back for filming for his game show is what we were told.
And another thing that I appreciate about our convention that we did have, and not, you know, it wasn't this huge. I want to keep reminding it's not some huge thing, but for us, it was amazing and very proud of it. But even Lou Temple, you know, he talks about Sid and being like, that was the last time that I worked with Sid. So I will always remember your guys' convention because that was the last time I got to see Sid. And I'll cherish that forever, that we got to give that opportunity to Lou. If you take away anything of it, you talk about the world being small, we provided Lou with his last time of working with Sid Haig. Like, that's pretty crazy.
And the name Bangor will come up in it, or probably Banger. Bangor will come up in his vocabulary for the rest of his life. Okay, good. I mean, hopefully people after a weekend of being here would say it right, but like we'll get some of these people. But yeah, so it's like one of those things that's like, again, no artists or guests or celebrity are too big for this convention, but it also it makes it one of the most accessible conventions too. I mean, we've talked about other conventions that I met George Perez and things like that at a convention in Massachusetts, which is like at a Memorial Hall. Those are the most accessible kind of conventions. And so if you're going to go to a convention, come to something like Bangor. It's way freaking cheaper. And if you live in the greater Bangor area, you don't have to pay for hotels. You just go, hang out, come for a day. As of right now, all your guests are coming for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, correct?
Yep.
And so obviously things change. People like most of them are currently working. So it's like things can change.
So there are, we haven't made the announcement yet, but there are 2 that are filming and will not be there anymore. But we are working on a replacement with the agent now. But by the time this comes out, that'll have already been announced.
Check out Bangor Comic Con's Facebook page and Instagram page or website, because you know it will be updated. But you know the Clerks guys are coming, right? As of right now, nothing's changing there, right?
Yeah. Like I said, that was that huge sigh of relief piece for me.
Yeah. Not to downplay the people that aren't coming, but you know, it's going to be okay.
Yes, and that here's the deal. I talk about over and over and over again. For the rest of my life, one of the greatest people I've ever met at a convention ever was Cooper Andrews. Ever.
100%.
Like one of the greatest, and he was a replacement. Yeah. And so all the time you ever think about, whenever someone gets upset about someone being replaced at a Comic-Con because of due to scheduling or something happening, is that there's a good chance that the replacement person is going to be just as good, if not better, than the person who was there before. Like, you know, it's all possible that's could happen.
And with ours too, I mean, we always try to, a lot of people don't think about that, where you don't just pull from a hat who you're going to get. And like people, well, why don't you get this person? Why, you know who you should get? And it's like, okay, well, thank you so much for your input. I appreciate it. But trust me when I say that Will and I do put thought into this, and we do figure out and try to be like, okay, does this make sense for our demographic, for our population, for our vicinity? You know, like, does this make sense? We do look at those things. And when you say there's no guest too big, also, we try to avoid some people that we think are too big for Bangor. And we mean that in a nice way. We just mean it like some people we cannot accommodate to their lifestyle and what they are used to.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing, but it's just like it works both ways, because as much as they aren't going to get what they expect, the people that are coming aren't going to be like meeting somebody that thinks that they're better than them. You know what I mean? Like, we try to pick people that we not only think people will be excited to meet, but we think will be receptive to the fans and actually make them feel special.
And also, you guys have a budget.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, I mean, I used to work for Soulfest in New Hampshire, and they were feeling, you should get this person. I'm like, you understand they're $50,000 to play for the weekend, right? Like, it's a lot of ticket sales to make up for that money.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, even yesterday, that same family where the daughter got all excited about the My Hero thing, the dad's like, "Oh, well, it's cool you got the Clerks guys, but you know you should have got.
Yeah,
should have got Kevin Smith." Like, thank you. I haven't heard that one before. We definitely didn't try to make that happen.
If you do eventually get Kevin Smith, I do have a person that will legally get him weed. Just saying. I have a friend of mine who works in the industry, marijuana industry, and anytime someone comes to Bangor that he absolutely respects and loves, he's like, I want to be the person who's known for me supplying him and getting him marijuana. So just letting you know that if you ever get Kevin Smith or anybody who wants marijuana that's famous, this person will be the person to contact legally. We're in the state of Maine. It's all legal.
It's all legal.
But so it's been funny. Yeah. It's like one of those things where like he talks to Chris Rudolph from Waterfront Concerts. Is like, hey, this person's coming to Bangor. I want to be the one. Let me give. I don't want any tickets. I don't need to go to the show. I just want him to know that it was me that got him the weed. That's all I want to know. That's all you need to know. I'm like, sounds good, man.
That's me with tattoos, man. I'm just like, anybody, you want something small? I don't care what it is. Like, you want something.
Yeah, I mean, last year you were like, hey, anyone looking for a tattoo? Like, anyone want a tattoo? And hopefully you've got one lined up. Like,
I'm hoping, man. I'm trying not to jinx it, but I got somebody on the hook.
We just need Scotty Young, man. It's all we need.
I know.
Like,
I'm trying, man.
We already worked on this idea that Paul and I are going to meet his minimum. Like, we have his minimum.
Well, yeah, it's not even the minimum. It's just, anytime we've reached out, it's,
I know,
not available or. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, we are at the point where we've been trying to do get him to do a virtual panel with us. But I mean, yeah, back to the point of like the guest thing, it's like Jay said, it's not, we're just drawing names out of a hat, or like we went into each year like, hey, these are the guests that obviously, we like them, or hey, we know that they're popular from this, so we listen to, people's opinions or thoughts or our staff. But then it's not only just that piece, it's okay, what is their guarantee? What are their requirements? Like, what do they need on their rider from us? And having the ties like we do with our buddy Joe Ribs or Al from GalaxyCon and all of those, we have those resources that Brandon and Sandy from Feature Presentation, we have those resources we can reach out and be like, hey, we're looking at, we're potentially looking at this guest. Have you guys had them at any of your shows? How do they do? How are they with their fans? And it's not we're assuming that they're going to be horrible with their fans or they're a bad person. But as we know, here in the state of Maine, like, people are stingy with their money. They're very careful on what they spend it on, and they work hard for their money. Mm-hmm. So if they're going to spend their money,
I don't have to pay royalties to that song. Thanks, man. No, but they work hard for their money, Will. Yes.
Yeah. So like, if they're going to spend that money, they want to know they're getting something of value, and they're not going to be like, I just paid $50 to get so-and-so's autograph, and they were the biggest asshole I've ever met. They were so horrible. Like, this just ruined this experience for me. It's like, like, we like the stories where, Jay talks about his time with Doug Jones, or you with Cooper, my grandmother with Lou, people with Joey Fatone, those experiences with Eric or, Mark Dodson. Like, those are what we live for. And not to backtrack too far again, but like Jay said, the hashtag thing, that would be amazing if we found, we got something for that, because ideally we would like it so we're not running around like crazy the whole weekend, but we get to hear all these amazing stories from our staff or from people that attended it, and we're like, oh, cool. Well, I got to hang out with them in the airport and in the hotel lobby, and then saying goodbye to them. Like, you know, we're so nonstop having to, you know, put out fires here and there that we don't get to take in all those experiences. Or people are like, oh, well, you know, the cosplay ball. Well, I don't even know if I'm going to make it to that. Or, you know, what about this event? Well, we've got the dinner with a guest, or we've got this to deal with. Like, you know, we can't be everywhere at once. So being able to see those moments and, you know, and experience them, you know, at least even, you know, via photo or video would be, you know, just a cool experience or little thing for us to look back on after the weekend's over and things kind of settle down to like, hey, we made it through. Let's, you know, let's check it, you know, let's check this stuff out. See how much fun everybody had.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's the experiences that trade these experiences, like I said, the meeting the Cooper Andrews, and again, not at your con, but someone else's con where I met George Perez. Those kind of stories that bring people in too. The real world actual experiences at the con. Selling it, the Clerks reunion it's gonna bring people in for sure.
Oh.
If you watch the movie Clerks, it's a classic movie. I'm planning to watch Clerks 1 and Clerks 2 again, maybe Mallrats as well, pre-con to just get prepared for the weekend, just to have that, you know, the hype and the excitement on it. But the idea that the experiences of people actually being in person at the place and meeting the person is what's actually going to sell someone else to come in. And so if you can compile that somehow in some sort of hashtag, you're tweeting it out, you're putting it on Facebook, you're putting it on Instagram, your experience at the con, hashtag this, then you can compile some things afterwards and do something afterwards. You could do a Don't Cross the Stream afterwards where you read a lot of these things on live stream and talk about the experience.
Yeah, it'd be cool because Will could handpick some of our favorite photos or something, and we could actually make mention of them and pull them up, type of thing. That's actually a really good idea. And I think it was 2019 that we did that. We did kind of like a contest, you will say, for people to throw in their hat for what they think the hashtag should be, and we ended up picking one, and we were like, "This is the official hashtag. Whenever you post, use this hashtag so we can all look and see what you guys got to do."
Yep.
Awesome. So, I mean, I know you have some guests, and you mentioned what are some guests you want to highlight at all? Yeah, we got Jason Mewes, Brian O'Halloran, and Jeff Anderson from Clerks. Who else did you want to highlight a little bit about who's coming to con?
I'll start it. So I want to say
Bueller.
Bueller. Oh, wait. Did we lose him?
Oh my gosh, that was the weirdest thing, right?
Well,
I got to go on. We'll wait for him to refresh and get back on this thing. But Jay, what I will say while he's waiting for him to come back is I wanted to highlight a little bit, and I have them listed right here, is I think one of the things, obviously, you focus a lot at con on the big guests, the celebrities, the people that are coming. Will just said, I don't know what just happened. But the artists that are coming too. And so I like to focus a little bit on the main artists, the people from New England that are coming as well. So you got Jim Lawson is coming, one of the TMNT artists. Steve Levine is coming as well. Yeah, Ben Bishop, Joseph Schmalke, Rich Woodall, and Ryan G. Brown. Those guys are all coming to con, hopefully, still. Which I laughed about because we talked about the Last Ronin. Is that I think all of them did a Last Ronin covers. So I think you probably could figure that out. I'm not 100% sure on Jim Lawson, but I'm pretty sure he did one. I know Brown did one, Woodall did one, Schmalke did one, Bishop and Levine all did one. So I'm guessing Lawson did one as well at some point. One of the 4 issues that have come out that they actually did a variant cover.
100 variants.
I mean, there was like 100 variants for issue number 1, or 70 variants. But it's kind of cool to see that there are all those people coming in. It's kind of cool to see that there are some serious Jim Lawson's or Steve Levine's. Those are the diehard, those are old school TMNT people. Ben's been more recently a TMNT person. But those are cool to see those guys, but also the idea that, I mean, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's nothing more in New England than that, really, for us as fans. And having that, it's because it was created in New England, it was built in New England, and now is, there's a touch here and there on the New England people. But also, like, I met Joseph Schmalke at Galactic Comics in Bangor. He was on the podcast before, but I met him in Galactic Comics in Bangor when they did the signing there.
Was that your first time?
I met him in person. I talked to him before that on the podcast, but in person was the first time I ever met him. And he's a freaking badass dude. He's a fun dude. He is smart as hell. He's creating some great comic books with Black Caravan over at Scout.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable, and it's giving me the Marvel fan of me, the big two fan of me, the Marvel, the Image people, making me love these small people that have like 1% of the comic book market in Scout Comics and Black Caravan, and loving the actual things. I've 2021 has been a year of me buying these like small indie comics.
It's actually pretty insane if you think about it, because like you don't, like when you're right into it, you don't really realize that like how insanely big it is. But if you think about Black Caravan, Scout Comics, you think about Joe, Rich, all those guys, the team that they have, there's so many of them, Sean and Ryan and Steve Levine in there and everybody. Like there is such this army of these collective minds. And it's unbelievable what they're doing. It's like everybody keeps talking Ninja Turtles and all that, but Black Caravan, man, like it's unbelievable what they have that's about to happen. And the fact that we're even not like part of it, but like we got the first Murder Hobo release color. We have the official first color release of Murder Hobo as a series was us. We got the first printing. The fact that they want to work with us more, the fact that Joe is so transparent with us and lets us know what's coming up and who they're signing with and what, it's unbelievable, man.
And the funny thing is, if you want to get on the world that we live in right now, we're in a speculation market. The idea of buying a comic book for cheap and hoping that it becomes a valuable comic book. I'll tell you right now, anybody listening or watching right now, go out and buy anything from Scout Comics or from Black Caravan right now. The way that they're creating products and comic books that are going to be eventually future TV shows and movies and products that you don't even understand how far these things are going to go. If you want to have a chance of buying your Walking Dead #1, go out there and buy the Electric Black #1. Try to find that one. Buy Murder Hobo #1. Buy Phantom Star Killer and Draco Knuckle Duster. Like buy those comic books, because those are the ones that are eventually going to be something somewhere, sometime, maybe 10 years from now when they actually get the way Hollywood works. But it's one of those things that it's worth having. And, and right now, if you buy the comic book in the next few weeks, you can bring it to con or buy it at con, because I know Joe and all those guys will have them, and get it signed. And then it's worth even more money eventually down the road. I know some people don't care about that. And the speculation market is kind of like in the comic book world, like people shouldn't be doing this. But I'm telling you right now, if you're looking for that next thing, I will put my money on it. I'd rather put money on Schmalke and what he's doing over at Black Caravan than on the stock market right now. I'll tell you that much, or Bitcoin or any of that stuff. I'll tell you, I just feel like that's going to be rate of return on investment with that dude. I feel like anything that guy touches right now is going to be gold. Same thing with Ben and Ben Bishop and those guys over there at when he does his split decision comic books stuff is going to go some places too. We're still waiting for the aggregate too. So if Ben's listening to this, just let you know.
Ronin, like all that they got going on, man. It's insane.
I don't know what Ben was thinking. He went to Hawaii on vacation. He should have been working on aggregate too. What the hell?
We did get an update email, though. We got an update email.
Just saying. I'm just kidding. I gave him a crap. He posted something on it. I'm part of his group, and he posted something on the Discord saying, "Hey, you coming back from vacation?" And I laughed. I joked to him. I said, "Wait, you were on vacation?" Because every day he was posting a picture of him in freaking Hawaii, and I was like, "You asshole!"
Yeah.
We all want to be Hawaii right now.
Yeah. Right.
Well, welcome back, Will.
Yeah, I have no idea. I had like a whole power surge in my office. So
listen, man, some of us get technology, some of us just don't get it. I understand.
Fair.
It's part of it. No, but when we were missing, we went on the tangent on the artists that are coming. Your Jim Lawsons, your Steve Levines, Ben Bishops, and so on. Justice Smoking. What are some other guests that you want to highlight that are coming as celebrity guests or other guests?
Yeah, I mean, I would say having Judith Hogue be there, the original April O'Neil, and working with Feature Presentation. They're doing all of our photo ops. If you got to go to Granite State last year, or you've seen the photo we've announced, they built sets at our last convention. They did the Red Room for Twin Peaks. And this year they're doing the sewer layer from the original movie. And I mean, they spare no expense. I mean, right down to the poster, the posters on the wall, the VHS tapes, they mimic everything. So it looks exactly like what you saw on the screen. So to be able to have her up here still, and yes, we don't have Kevin, but we do have Ben. We've got Steve. We've got Jim. So still having that sort of a reunion there and having that sewer lair to pair all of them together, I think is awesome. Bill Moseley,
it is kind of cool. Now you mentioned that too, and we talked TMNT a little bit when you were off restarting your computer, was the idea that you actually had the clerk. It's really like a Clerks TMNT con. Like you think about it, you have your Clerks reunion as like the headlining thing, but really with the idea of having Judith Hogue there and then all those artists that have worked on either the Last Ronin variant covers or actual TMNT issues are going to be there too, which is kind of cool. So you actually have the both sides of that kind of thing too, and having the set from future presentations.
Yeah, and then I think the other cool thing that we have, again, Bill Moseley, we all thanks to Lou Temple on that one, and we've got him dressing up as Otis on Saturday for photo ops. Like that's another one of those experiences that you normally wouldn't get. Talking the My Hero guys, like that's basically having a My Hero reunion. So to go from no anime to have two of the biggest voice actors out there right now and two of the main characters from that show, to be able to, like, hey, here, look, we're throwing, we're throwing ourselves in the ring with this one. Like, this is a first shot. There's going to be more to come in the future, but we've heard you guys. This is what you've been looking for, and we're trying to deliver on that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
No, I keep finding myself being excited about one, and then be like, oh yeah, but we also have this, and oh yeah, we also have this person coming, and this person, like. I'm thoroughly excited about everything, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a blur. Like, it's just going to be a
exactly
blur.
What you're saying. Yeah. It's the same thing. I try to remember, like when I mentioned I worked at Soulfest, I worked like 4 Soulfest things, and that was a weekend. I mean, 100,000 people came, and I met some of the bands that I respected and loved over the years. I met the Chariot and guys like those, and I remember meeting these people, and I remember like seeing them, but the entire I don't remember, like there's a whole experience of being at that weekends are a blur. Like it's just like it moves so fast, you're doing so much, you're putting out fires like you mentioned, you're trying to do this, and it's like, and actually for you guys, in all likelihood, the more of the memories you're gonna get for you two is gonna be the oones that are not even at the con. It's gonna be doing something else, like the dinner or something, driving them from the airport or whatever. Yes,
like the breakfast with Sid.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a cool story you guys get.
Yeah, but hey, real quick, if I can go back on the celebrity piece.
Yeah.
Another one that I really want to highlight. People are gonna love him. Dana Snyder. Me and Rudder got to meet him in Raleigh, and the guy like literally is a character, and he's amazing. People are going to love him. He's a riot. He went from one of those where he was somebody that if you knew him, and you'd go to his table for his autograph or whatnot. But then he was one of those where people that didn't know him, like, oh, I'm going to go check out this panel because it's something to do. And after his panel, he goes back to his table, and there's just a flock of people that are now like, oh, I just met this guy, and he was doing a panel drinking beer and talking with me. So I want to go hang out with this guy, and I want to buy his autograph because of that. And the last one, again, this won't come out until next week, but we'll still share it on here. We've named our artist alley in memory of Michael Mitchell from Mitchell Comics. An amazing gentleman. Was at every convention we'd ever did, be it BCTC, Halfway Con, Pine State, any of those. He always showed up. He had passed away last year, and we've been in talks with his wife, Michelle. And we just said, hey, if you ever have any interest, first off, we asked if, hey, Michael meant a ton to all of us. And we would love to be able to honor his memory by doing this. To which he was, very gracious. Her and the family agreed to let us do that. But then it spilled over to the fact she's like, I still have all of this stuff, and I haven't done a show since he passed away. Like I've had no interest. But BCTC and Granite State Con were our home shows. They were family. And she goes, and if I come back to any event, I want it to be your guys' show. So I said, look, if you want a table, we will give you a table. So Michelle and the family will be coming out. One of his sons will be there with her Friday, one will be Saturday, and then I think someone else will be there with her Sunday. But this will be her first appearance doing anything since Michael's passing. So I really want to highlight, people, please go see her, go support her. Don't give her a hug, give her a hug if she's okay with it. Don't give her a hug, whatever social distancing she's plays it. But she's an amazing human being. Michael is amazing. So please, if we're going to highlight any artist, I'd really like to make sure people make their way over to see them or see her, and just, catch up with her and say hi and, support her and her family.
Yes, absolutely. Love that. It's an awesome thing you guys can do. And again, that has something to do with a small con. The idea that you're not this massive, you're not in, in Boston, a smaller con has this ability to do things like this for people that mean a lot to you guys and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
That's probably our best compliment we've ever gotten from people when it comes to our convention. We have so many people that say that. They're like, it feels family friendly, like you can actually take the time to meet somebody and you're not being herded through, like, don't do that. Don't stand there. Put your hands down. Put that away. Look forward. You're just like,
sign and go.
You're looking too long. You're staring. Stop staring. Stop staring.
Yeah. All of a sudden you're picking up a photo. You're like, that just happened. I'm in the photo.
You sure you didn't Photoshop that in? And like,
right. Well, it's like Matt Osborne, one of the agents. Jay and I have worked for the convention for 4 years prior to us running it, and we're like, well, we hope this is going good. We hope we're doing a good job. And sitting there with Matt and a few of the guests and agents Saturday night. It was Saturday night, just in the lobby having drinks. And Matt was just like, hey, he's like, first time we'd ever met him, you guys are already like family. He's like, I'll be honest, like, your guys' show was run 99% better than any show I've ever been to. And I mean, this guy travels the world with these agents, with these guests doing events. So to sit here and be like, hey, what you guys are doing, the way you're doing it, like the care that you guys put in. He's like, I saw you guys running around literally with money, like with, each with money bags when people were upset about a photo op or that a certain guest that, Ryan Hurst wasn't there and they didn't know. You could have just been like, sucks to suck. Like that's how conventions work. People cancel. Like, we're just as bummed out as you are, but you guys were taking money out of that bag and giving people a refund, or you were running around like the Cooper with one of the girls' photo ops. You guys like, spur of the moment, put this, this plan into place, and just seeing like not only your care and love for the guests, us as agents, your staff, but the attendees. Like, he's like, you guys have been like, oh, I got your money. Why do I care at this point? But you guys don't do that. And he's like, it speaks volumes. So those are just really awesome things for us to be able to hear.
That's awesome. That is again, I will preach it every time you guys come on here, because obviously you guys will probably be on here again before the next one. Is the idea that there's something about regional cons that you won't get at any of these big cons. I mean, the goal is, and you watch the TV shows and you see the internet, that San Diego is the Comic-Con. But let's be honest, like, go to a local regional Comic-Con like Bangor Comic-Con, Comic and Toy Con, and you'll understand that meeting some of these people, I mean, it'll be some of the best experiences you ever get. And I'll bring it back to the idea that I was so pumped when Waterfront Concerts brought in Under Oath, because it was a band I respected and loved growing up, and they were in my hometown, the town that I spent 10 years of my life in Kittery, but most of my life has been in Bangor, and I think that I love this place. And so seeing some of these people there and seeing someone like Jason Mewes, for an example, coming to Bangor and being at my mall is going to be freaking insane. And even as someone who deals with it, I've met hundreds of famous people, like in sports and in music and in comic books. I've met these people. It still is an awe. And to you guys, it's probably still an awe when these people show up. It's still like new and pinch me kind of thing, that these people are actually in the town that you guys live in.
Well, and also on top of that, like for Will and I, it's a very unique situation, because it's not like we're their boss, but they are working for our convention. Like Sid, that was the biggest thing. He's like, I'm here to work. Every time that we tried to be like, you want a break? You want this? You want that? Nope, I'm here to work. And that's when you realize, you're like, well, yeah, no shit. Like, we're contracting these people to come in as our guests. They need to make a certain amount of money, this kind of that. And you're just like, Yeah. I mean, I'm not like your boss for the weekend, but you are coming to work at our convention. So it's very strange when you have them asking you, is this cool? And you're like, why are you asking me if it's cool? What do you mean? Oh, yeah, I forgot. We're the ones running it.
I'm in charge. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Who did this? Who let this happen? Who let Jay and Will be in charge? You're still pinching yourselves about that one. Like, who the hell let you guys be in charge of this stuff?
Yeah. Well, I always think about, I've said this before, but just to reiterate, I mean, how I got started, like Will says that we both, worked for the 4 years before, but, Will was right there, right-hand man to Chris. I was a straight up attendee that first year. I mean, I remember Will getting me like I call it a backstage pass, but I think it was just a VIP pass, and it was Renfro and I. And I remember us both being like fangirling out, just being like, dude, I got a VIP pass. We can like go and do this. And we met a couple people, and then we'd go outside and we're like just talking about it, like, oh man, this is so cool. And then next thing you know, I'm like, saying to Will, I'm like, dude, if you just need somebody to like carry some boxes inside, like I'd love to get my foot in the door and like help you out with this. And now I'm like running it with them, and it's just like it's bizarre.
So my pitch to people is volunteer at con. If you volunteer at the Bangor Comic and Toy Con, you might have a chance of owning it. Just saying. just saying it out loud.
Hey, even just volunteering's got its perks. I mean, we've got like look at somebody like Rudder, same thing. I think he either volunteered first year or just came, and he was like, same thing like Jay was like, hey, if you need volunteers, and now like Rudder's a floor manager for the event, and he kind of deals with the celebrities more than me and Jay will, making sure that they have everything that they need and things are going smooth. And we have friends that get to sit with guests and hear these amazing stories that nobody else, short of somebody else that might sit with them next weekend, might get to hear. But I mean, they're sitting here like, oh, I was just filming this, or I was on set doing this, or you never believe this. Like, those memories that they get to make, and plus you get free autographs, free food, some good perks with it.
I will say, I mean, volunteering anything like this is a dream come true. It's a lot of work because you have to work and do something the weekend that you're there. But it is a crazy thing because you get actually to be there, and you actually get somewhat of a more close up thing with people, and it's a cool thing in something like this. So if you have the time off and you can volunteer, it's something to definitely look into, because it's definitely something fun. But if you don't want to volunteer, buy tickets.
It's a lot different though. Like, buying tickets is cool and everything, but yeah, it's different when you go up to the guests and you're like, here's my money. I want this sign. Cool. Thank you very much. And then when you've got Will or I being like, hey, this is so-and-so, they're going to be working the event. If you need anything, please let them know. That's a way different vibe right there. A different in, as if you will.
So like, I mean, as a fan, you obviously, you still get treated with respect, but they're like, oh, this is one of their guys, like, or this is one of their girls. We're going to take care of them. Like, what do you need from us? Like, and it's like, we said we get the free autographs throughout the weekend, but they'll just be like, oh, you want this? You want that? Here, come take a photo with me. Come do this one. Let's do that. Like, just certain things that somebody else, wouldn't normally get to have that experience with. And
I kind of find it as a analogy to the fact that when Jay, you played in bands, and so did Will, actually. Both of you guys played in bands. And like, have you ever played with a band at a festival that headlined the main stage, right? And you're like, I opened up for this band. It's like, bullshit, you did. You played on the side stage over there. Now forever in the world you're ever going to say is that you played with this band. Same thing with volunteering at a con. You can say, and you're standing next to Cooper Andrews when you're there helping him out, you can say, I worked with Cooper Andrews.
Like what? I played Warped Tour, but I played that side stage in the woods. I wasn't on the same stage as like Under Oath or Newfound Glory or something.
But like you can say, like, I volunteered at con. I actually worked with Jason Mewes.
Yeah, I sat with him all weekend. Like, here's photos of it. Like, here's this. Like,
so, but I mean, so think about tickets. Let's talk about tickets here. Where do you grab tickets? Just BangorComicandToyCon.com?
Yeah, so you can either go right to our website, and then it will redirect you. You'll click the ticket link. It'll redirect you to a company called GrowTix. So we're using them instead of Ticketmaster, being outside of the Cross, and we're super stoked Grotix has been amazing. The things we're able to do with this event, as far as, we were able to build our own app. So now you've literally got the convention at your fingertips. You can look at featured guests. You can look at the schedule. You can look at a list of vendors with all their bios and a link to their websites. Floor plan. Once the floor plan is out, you can, this is this vendor. They're at this table. I know exactly where to find them. There's an option to do a to-do list. So now you know all of the events happening. You click on the events you want to help you build that schedule for that day or that for your weekend. Real-time updates. If say the clerks panel is, you got all three of them and they've got an hour, but they take an hour and 20 minutes. Well, they were supposed to be here. We just go onto the website and put out a post. Hey, photo ops still, clerks photo ops delayed 20 minutes because of this. We'll be over there shortly. Anyone with that app, it's going to get that notification. So it's awesome.
That's awesome. The loving with it, and it's also a smaller company than obviously Ticketmaster is too. So it's also nice to have that respect and love from a smaller company too.
Yes. Well, it's also nice for us to actually be able to say, not that it's all about just upselling and pushing the ticket sales, but it is very nice to be like, oh, well, this is clearly selling very well. So we need to make sure we have enough people or like enough room for, we know that they're photo ops. We got to make sure we have enough time to do it because I didn't realize, but they just sold a ton of photo ops. You know what I mean? Like, it's just nice to see that up front now for once. Before, it was just a guessing game, or we just had to email them and then hope that we'd get an update within a few days. And then by the time you got that, you're wondering where you are now because it's been a few days,
Yeah, having no idea. Like, we're just having to hope that, hey, what they're telling us they're doing for ticket sales is what they're doing for ticket sales.
Yeah.
Whereas I can go on right now and open up the, our page on Grotix. I can see an exact breakdown for the day, the week, the month, year to date.
Yeah.
Exactly what VIP, 2 day, single day, all of those things.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that you can buy ahead of time other than tickets right now? Or is that?
So you obviously get your tickets. You can buy the tickets to the cosplay ball. And then Wednesday, we're having our kickoff party. Which will be at the Down Under Club in Seasons, starting at 6:00.
And for anybody that's confused, if you're looking for it's the Noah, the Never Ending Story. If you're looking for specifically to say Noah or Never Ending Story, it's the kickoff party.
Yep. So we'll have Noah there with us. We'll be screening Never Ending Story. We'll have food and drink. So it's a cool opportunity to, again, like we said, those memories. You're going to hang out with that guest outside of the convention. And just make those memories and have a good time with them. So, we're really excited about that. So, just your tickets, cosplay ball, and the event with Noah. Oh, and I think the Friday night, the after party. I think those tickets might be on there too. If not, you can buy at the door at Seasons.
Are we doing the Friday night after party at G-Force? Are we doing that at Seasons? You said.
So I think we'll have our official one at Seasons. Because that's where we're already going to be doing our private dinner with the guests, anyway, chef meal and whatnot.
But then G-Force.
G-Force, I think because the one at Seasons is 21 plus. So Brian, if he is able to open by the time of the convention, if he wanted to offer an all ages one, then he could have something all ages. So for those that aren't old enough, it's still it's bringing him business, and it gives our attendees something fun to do. That's not requiring the age limit restrictions.
Absolutely. Cool. And just last thing I wanted to ask, you guys have any idea when the weekend of Comic-Con 2022 is going to happen yet, or is that still working it out?
No, we have dates all picked out.
I know it's not. We're focusing on this year. We're October 1st through the 3rd at Bangor Mall. Tickets at Bangor Comic and Toycon.com. Yep. But also, hopefully, the world will be back to normal by then. So April of next year, is that right? Or
so it should be April. The plan is as of now April 22nd to the 24th.
Cool.
Plan is to still be right at the mall. We'll see what happens. And as Jay kind of alluded to earlier, we announced Kane as our first guest for the 2022 convention.
Yep.
That's awesome. I'm so excited, dudes. Yeah, you have no idea. I'm super pumped. I'm pumped to be getting back to doing some actual live things and some things in person with some people and being out there. And I'm pumped to meet some of these celebrities in my hometown, which is awesome, which is really cool for us here at, our podcast is based in Maine. Obviously, we reach a lot of other people as well. But, when something like this happens in your own backyard, it's some of the coolest things.
Well, you're part of the family too, man. So, I mean, you'll be right there with us. You're welcome to join us in pretty much everything that we do.
And the company I work for as well, Orno Brewing Company, will be there slinging some beers for you guys. Anybody who's 21 plus can have a beer, buy a beer at the con too. We'll have a little pop-up shop. Will, just to let you know, those banners are coming in Friday. So we'll be able to hang some banners up that say we're going to be there that weekend. Those would be kind of cool to hang up and get there, as well as we have something else in the works as well, but we'll get into that at some point too. We'll have to do a small little thing when that actually gets figured out.
Definitely.
We're working on that. Yep. It's kind of funny how today was a day that we talked about that this morning, and we actually were on here tonight too. It's kind of like a weird, right. You guys were always on my brain. You're always, Will and Jay are always up here.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna do another copyright for you. Sorry.
Oh, there you go. And I'll actually see you, Will, Jay. I mean, before the Comic-Con, because I think we have an appointment.
Oh, do we have one?
We have an appointment. So look at that.
Me and my brother got one a couple weeks prior.
And I gotta figure it out because I think it's gonna be a Ben Bishop. I think it'd be the first. I mean, since the first tattoo you did, it's or actually we did this one too, but it's not a Scotty Young. I think it's gonna be a Ben Bishop. And then I gotta figure out a time to come after con because I want Ben to sign, and so you can tattoo the signature as well. So we gotta figure that out too.
In the hotel room, and then at the end of that night, I'll just real quick we'll do that tattoo.
That's awesome.
So Ben can be present. You can lick it afterwards.
Exactly right.
Well,
it's funny. So I'm getting ahead of myself and I'm posting things on our Instagram, like getting things scheduled up to the scheduling program I have to post things on those weekends. And one of the days I want to highlight the artists. One of the days I'm going to highlight the guests. One of the days we're going to highlight us being there, serving beer, and hopefully recording a podcast. And I did the guests. And one of the pictures I used for Ben Bishop being at Comic-Con was one of the pictures he posted of him in Hawaii. And he's like on the beach, like laying down with like a sun hat on, sipping a mixed drink. And I'm like, that is the epitome of who Ben Bishop is. Like, that's a perfect picture to show who the artist showing up to Comic-Con is that dude. Yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, when for Halloween, he dressed up for their live stream with Kevin Eastman. He dressed up as freaking 1987, 86 Kevin Eastman, which is so freaking awesome. So
good.
Yeah, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So, I mean, I'm super pumped. Everybody should go October 1st to the 3rd, Bangor Mall. This year, the Clerks dudes are going to be there. That's the big one. Definitely check that out. Jason Mewes being in Bangor is gonna be freaking awesome. I can't wait, dude. I honestly can't wait. Snoochie.
So close, man. A month from tomorrow, man. Yeah,
that's awesome. So, and then Bangor Comic and ToyCon.com. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook as well. Buy some tickets. Honestly, go to the opening, the kickoff party too. That's pretty badass. Like, do that for sure. Do all the extracurricular things too. It only happens. I mean, there's gonna be another one in 6 months, but like, it only happens once a year, really, for these big ones like this. Like, take the opportunity, save up some money between now and the end of the month, and actually get there and do some of these things, because this is awesome. You're going to kick yourself afterwards if you miss out on this, honestly. You're going to see all the pictures on the internet of people doing things and meeting these people and hanging out and getting these autographs and photo ops, and you're going to go, I should have gone, and it's going to be too late. Because let's be honest, this is not like the waterfront concerts where the same country artists come every couple of years. It's basically these guests come to Comic-Con. You guys likely aren't going to see these guests for a while. Like this, if anything, if they ever come back, it's going to be years down the road. So if you miss out on meeting the Clerks dudes or Judith Hogue or something like that, or Mick Foley or whatever, you're going to miss out. So you should definitely
drive states away to find them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. This is an opportunity you're not going to want to miss for sure.
That's right. Well, we appreciate you having us on the show, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, man. I love to pitch anything else you guys have, but I don't, because I know, Jay, you're too booked up with tattoos anyway, so I can't pitch you at Forecastle. That's stupid. And anyway, every time I pitch you for a tattoo, it takes away from me. Yeah, right? Yeah, see? Right, Will? Anytime we pitch Jay to someone else, though, we lose out on appointments, so we don't want that. Well, that's not going to work.
One of my buddies the other day was like, oh, yeah, I'm holding off to get my first tattoo with Jay, and I was like, yeah, you're gonna be waiting a while. I was like, oh, I trust. I was Jared McKay. He's like, oh, I want my first tattoo, but I got to do it with Jay. And I was like, yeah, you realize he's booked out until like June of next year. And he's like, yeah, I know. I'll wait it out.
Contact him ahead when he opens up his books again, which is obviously not for a little while, but that's when you need to contact him. You don't need to contact him in June because by the time June comes around, it's going to be the next year your books too. So
right.
Yeah. So I mean, hey man, I get compliments all the time. You're kicking ass. You're doing a great job, man. I'm proud of you. And congratulations again on the baby. You know, congratulations to you and your better half there. I'm so excited to see pictures of you guys hanging out and stuff like that too. And Will, obviously you're doing badass things as well. And I'm so proud of you guys for doing con as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in October. Obviously I'll see you before. Will, I'll probably see you this week, and so on. So I'm actually going to pick my comic books. This is a week from now, but like I'm picking my comic books up tomorrow. I think at 10 o'clock in the morning at Galactic Comics.
I know, right?
Now he's open 10 to 7. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Paul, yeah. Oh. So it's funny so Monday, Tuesday were Paul's last 2 days. Monday he was like, "You at the mall?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm on my way." I'm like, "Dude, it's 3 o'clock." He's like, "Yeah, I'll be there." I was like, "All right." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going into work tomorrow. I don't know how long I'll be there." So he posted a photo of like walking into Advance for the last day. And then he sends me a photo at like noontime, maybe. And he was like the flag open. And I was like, well, that didn't take long, did it? He's like, nope. He's like, I told him I was going in. My desk and office was already cleaned out. I was going in to basically say goodbyes, do one final thing. And then he's like, I was out of there. Like, I'm never going back. So why do I care if I kind of burn that bridge? Like I'm fully committed to doing this. So he opened, I think, until about 4 o'clock today. And then tomorrow starts the official new hours.
Nice.
And this new boss is not going to care that he didn't finish his absolute notice out of his old job. His new boss is not going to care.
Right.
Does anybody ever finish out their notice, really?
No, let's be honest. So Galactic Comics in Bangor is also a place to go if you're in the Bangor area. Check them out for sure. That's our local comic book shop for sure. And so, Will, Jay, thanks for coming on, guys. I really appreciate it. Again, BangorComicAndToyCon.com. Check them out and buy your tickets now. So,
right now,
thanks, guys. Right now, when you stop listening to this podcast, pull over to the side of the road
and buy your tickets.
Right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.